Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to be going over a strong moveset build that you can teach Golbat in the Gen 1 Pokemon games, whether the moves are learned through leveling up or through TM, and then the location that you can pick up those particular TMs. All of the resources used in today's video, I'll have links posted down in the video description. And Golbat can be a good Pokemon to have in your team if you're able to deal out a lot of paralysis to your opposition, because given its access to Confuse Ray, if your opposition is paralyzed and then you throw Confuse Ray on top of it, they're going to be in a very tough situation where they're going to have a difficult time potentially hitting your Golbat. Now, the downside to Golbat is its typing of Poison Flying leaves it weak to some very common strong opponents. So it's going to be weak to Electric, Ice, Psychic, as well as Rock. But it is immune to ground, so if you can predict a switch in on an Earthquake, then that might be a direction that you can go strategically as well. So going down and taking a look at the build here, and we start off with Screech, which is a utility move. It lowers the target's defense by 2. This is something that is learned natively by Golbat. I think there's an argument, though, that if you didn't want to go with Screech, you could also potentially go with Haze, which is picked up at level 43. And what Haze does is it resets all status changes, so you could potentially be going against an opponent that's really boosted itself up to a point where it's very difficult to deal with. In that instance, being able to throw out a Haze so that it resets all stat changes might be an interesting way to go instead of going with Screech, but that is an option that you have. Then move number 2, one of the more integral parts of this build is Confuse Ray. Again, if you have in your team the ability to throw out paralysis on the opposition, if Golbat is then going against a paralyzed opponent and it can throw a Confuse Ray on top of it, then you're really going to be in business. And this is also something that Golbat is going to learn natively, and this one is picked up at level 21. And the great thing about Confuse Ray is it has a 100 accuracy. And then taking a look at moves number 3 and 4, these are going to be where we're dealing out damage. So move number 3 is either the normal type move Double Edge or Hyper Beam. So you want to go with Double Edge if you don't want to wait for the recharge of Hyper Beam. The downside to Double Edge, not quite as powerful as Hyper Beam. Also, it has that 1/4 recoil, but then you can maybe potentially counteract that by healing yourself with Mega Drain, which recovers 50% of the damage dealt. But Double Edge is going to be a TM that's picked up at TM 10 over at the Rocket Hideout. And in the Rocket Hideout, it's on the basement 3rd floor, south of the staircase leading to the basement 2nd floor. So taking a look at the basement 3rd floor in Rocket Hideout, this is the staircase going to the 2nd floor, and this is going to be south of that. So that's where you're going to be able to pick up that particular TM. And then also Hyper Beam going to be a TM going to our list. It is TM 15 found over at the Rocket Game Corner for 5,500 coin. And move number 4 is going to be Mega Drain, and this is more so to use against Rock Ground type that you could be finding yourself going against or switching into, particularly if you predict an Earthquake that they might be tossing out there. And in that instance, Double Edge and Hyper Beam not going to be all that effective. That's where Mega Drain can come in and be not only a source of damage, but also something that Golbat can use to recover some of its health. Mega Drain is going to be TM 21, and it is a prize for defeating the gym leader, Erica. And that rounds out this competitive build for Golbat. Now, you have access to Zubat very early on in the Gen 1 games. Maybe you want to keep that Zubat, evolve it to Golbat, and keep it in your team throughout. I think Golbat can be a little bit overlooked sometimes. It does have some interesting things that it can bring to the table. So I hope this video was helpful. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Consider subscribing, and again, the resources used in this video, you can find links to down in the description.